Welcome back to the OPL, where it is 1-1 between Abyss Esports and Hellions right now. Moving into game number 3, Hellions will lose 2 bans for Luna being late into the champion select. They did have connectivity issues, so, you know, that will change the way that this game goes ahead. And I think that we've seen a lot of champion diversity, so not having those bans being able to throw at Luch and the likes in the mid lane might play a big role in how this game works out.
Yeah, so maybe we won't see, maybe we'll see like Azir versus a Victor matchup, the classic Season 5 mage matchup, or maybe we could see Lulu or Oriana, but please no, like Frostkaren said, poor man's Azir, so please don't pick that.
Was not the word that we used.
Yeah, the S word. Yeah, but yeah, just going back to the mid lane matchup, just going to give Luch like a comfort pick, maybe ban the Azir and take away the Victor, and just shake off this Luch on a uncomfortable pick.
Yeah, I thought the Lulu was a little bit weird because, you know, Squidgy had an okay game one. Like, T-Gun and Squidgy performed very well, at least in the laning phase, but they weren't up against much pressure. Taking a very scaling team composition into the Hellions was going to be risky because they do like to play early. What did you make of, like, the Rumble Gragas? Kind of went back to more carry top lane, tank jungle there for us, something we haven't seen in a while.
The big thing for me is that they're both really good in jungle fights, in dragon fights in particular, and no surprises that the importance of Dragon has brought back kind of Rumble, and I expect that we might see more of him as global competition picks up, but we'll see itemization kind of goes different ways. But it makes sense, you know, he's got his buffs to his wave clear, but also he performs really well on Dragon fights, and Dragons are what everyone is fighting over.
And what did you make of the item build? You know, people are telling me this blast cannon build, whatever the heck Atlas is calling it right now. Dash cannon, that's the one.
Dash cannon.
What do you think about Proto Belt?
It's an interesting item. He utilized the item very well, hopping over the Trundle wall and survive, made him like mini flash, so good on him. But I do like more penetration item, but just need to. I haven't seen enough Rumble in the solo queue to like make analysis out of it. But Ryu's equalizer were on point, so maybe. Back to my point, so having more of those penetration would have done so much more damage.
Yeah, and Ryu, old school Rumble player, I think it's very fair to say that it's probably the champion that he made his original name on before he moved over to the likes of Ryze and kind of took off from there. So definitely a dangerous pick in his hands. Do want to hit up maybe the mentality of this Abyss lineup, because Rusty already mentioned it, you know, young team, they're used to these long games. Now they're playing against experienced players. They were up 2,000 gold with a Lulu Caitlyn composition, with a Trundle that was fed out of his mind. Pac-Man was huge. What does it mean not being able to close out that game? Because win conditions were so clear.
It's objective identification is what I call it, and basically what it means in just basic terms is understanding exactly where to be on the map and identifying what is the easiest objective to take, which typically you look at it, okay, mid-tier tower is going to give you the most control, so anytime a mid-tier tower is up, you take it. If Dragon's up, you want to focus around that. If Baron is up, then obviously you don't want to play to the bottom side of the map, and then as the towers move in, okay, continuously, mid gives me the most control, so now I move into second-tier tower. It gets a little bit more in-depth when you start moving away from, okay, Dragon's down, Baron hasn't spawned yet, maybe Rift Herald has been fumbled or we're not strong enough to take it. What's the next objective? I can't siege a tower. It's then invading into the correct side of the map of which you're strong on. So invading to contest a red buff, invading to contest a blue buff, but making sure it's not, you know, my top laner's losing his lane naturally, so I'm going to go walk into his lane and continue to feed.
Yeah, pretty much what Frostkaren said. It was kind of difficult to siege because they had like a Victor instant wave clear, and so they just needed to use the Lulu's mobility to like move around the map and like go to like a Rumble lane or just empty lane that they can just siege down. But it just became it was just crumbled, like the whole team crumbled when Caitlyn and Lulu started fall behind, and it was only the Pac-Man that was ahead. So it was really hard for Abyss to execute, but just Pac-Man just held on to it, but at the end, Hellions just took the game.
And relevant to this game, that's the big thing, is kind of underlining what Soulstrike said, is this idea that Victor was so far ahead because he was getting these solo kills, and he's going to be your primary wave clear. And Lulu and Caitlyn has a really big mid-game power trough where she falls off, where she doesn't do any damage. She's waiting for her third item to come in before she can start really sieging and team fighting as effectively as needed be. I mean, we even see some creative builds coming out of Stixie at MSI where he would go Zeal into flat AD item, not completing the Infinity Edge, whereas I actually think that
No, did the same when Hurricane double.
yeah,
AD,
just this like tower pushing build.
Yep.
But when your Victor is so much farther ahead at that mid game point when Caitlyn is weak, that's when everything stalled out, and it didn't matter how far Pac-Man was ahead because Hellions just had to survive long enough.
Well, we'll see whether they're able to survive Game 3 because we are ready to get onto Summoner's Rift for the last game time tonight. Here is Atlas and Rusty to take us there.
Thank you very much, Rusty. So once again, you know, one dragon has gone down for a losing team.
What, you worked it out?
What, are we okay?
They said
Did I say
thanks,
thanks, Rusty?
Yeah.
That was because it was the last name that Spawn
You're
said.
welcome.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Rusty.
Moving
you have
on.
been
Sorry,
here the
I
whole
just had
time
to
for the
bring
last
that up,
4
yeah.
games.
Anyway,
You've
you were
completely
saying-
derailed me. Something about a dragon. I'm not entirely sure. What would you like to talk about?
We could talk about the dragon, the
Yeah,
fact
okay.
that they chose the older dragon over the Baron, something that was touched a couple times on the desk. I
Yep.
think that was actually the undoing of Abyss Esports. They 100% should have went for the Baron because, as they also mentioned, closing the game out with a 2k gold lead, something they really struggled to do. If you have a Baron buff, you just rely on Pac-Man. He will actually just walk over the game with it.
Yeah.
And whilst we translate to the conversation of Baron, the fact they committed to that Baron instead of fighting, even though they were ahead, backfired. So 2 big mistakes here for Abyss. And yes, they're a young side. Yes, they're prone to make mistakes. Hellions aren't perfect either. It just comes down to who does it at the most crucial time.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And look, it all seemed to fall apart. Then Pac-Man sort of getting picked off time after time. And look, that was only 2 times during that whole game. The rest of it, he was playing impeccably. But when these things happen towards the late game, it just compounds so quickly. Hellions were able to close that one out in the end, but it was incredibly close. We'll see whether Abyss will now be able to finish out the series or whether Hellions are going to use the momentum from the previous game to get things done. But this champion select, notably, extraordinarily slow in comparison to the last one.
Absolutely right, because the last one took 20 seconds total. The thing that also needs to be touched on is the lack of bans the Hellions will be having due to Luna. I think it was with connectivity issues.
Ah, yes.
Either way, 1 ban. They've chosen the Azir as their singular ban. And I don't blame them, given how Game 1 went against the Hellions. Of course, Luch playing that Azir had a stellar performance. The scary thing, though, is that he's going to have a lot of options available still.
He most certainly
You only
is.
get the 1 ban. And he's not going to be on Lulu again, I hope.
Well, I certainly hope not as well. But what would the first pick priority be then? Is it something like picking the Trundle away from Pac-Man? Is it something like making sure that they get the Lucian on their side? Is a Victor going to be, once again, a very high priority? We'll have to see exactly what Abyss do take away, because being on the blue side, not having these bans, might actually help Hellions a little bit, but it will mean that Abyss get 2 more exceptionally powerful picks. Echo is actually the choice here, so Ryu not going to have that flexible top laner, and Impaired not going to have his jungler of choice.
Yeah, and you would imagine the 3rd ban here from Abyss Esports. So,
Yeah, and look, Frey looked a whole lot more comfortable on that Lucian. Of
That's
course,
right.
it just makes a heck of a lot of sense. This guy was just playing solely Lucian almost in the last split. He's looked very, very happy on the champion. So we'll see whether he is going to be able to pick that one up again. 6 seconds to go here as Abyss thinking about this final pick. Trundle is going to be taken away, so Pac-Man not going to be on that one again.
but it's
Ryu,
banned
we'll
away
see what
from
he
his
goes.
own
Exactly.
team.
Yeah.
That's the real question mark here. Ryu, knowing that he's not going to be against the Trundle, does the Maokai as an option to him. And if he wants to be a split pusher, then perhaps he just last picks his Fiora or something to that extent. Rumble was also good from him, but it's all team fighting focus. Whereas Pac-Man has shown the inclination towards the latter being the split pushing. And Nidalee still stands out. But do you give over a Lucian Victor if you lock it in? The hard questions need to be asked here.
Yeah, and the dangerous thing here is that Nidalee sort of does double duty as well. I mean, if they leave it open, then Seb gets one of his most powerful champions. He was also known as this Nidalee player. Impaired, had it banned against him a heck of a lot of times in the OPL, but it is going to be the Victor given priority here, so Bomb going to get that relatively safe mid laner and one that does a heck of a lot of damage. We did see it working out very, very well, especially in the early game for Hellions in game number 2. And Seb, you can see him hovering that Nidalee. If they grab the Lucian at the same time, this is a big first round of picks here for Abyss.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and this comes back to the only one ban available problem here for Hellions. They're giving over this as a red side first draft potentially, and I would say most likely. Of course, taking the Lucian away from Frey stands out to me as a big deal. Squidgy, of course, was still strong in terms of performance on that, and Seb's still a very competent Nidalee. We've seen highlight reels from this guy playing that champion.
Definitely.
And it still denies it from Impaired.
Well, now Impaired and Bomb to make their decisions up. Of course, Alistair's sticking out as a champion that has made it through the draft. A few other picks there, of course. Rumble's still there for Rhea if he wants to play it again. They can head back towards something very similar to the previous comp if they'd feel like it.
They definitely could, and I would be inclined to say that Gragas is a good option still here for Impaired. Graves would be nice, but it's more of the farm route. If you wanted to go deep, then you potentially go back towards something like the Elise. I'd be very surprised if it isn't Gragas based off last game's performance.
Oh, Bromat actually being looked at. Yeah, Luna going to lock that one in one more time. Ryu going to take a super tank there towards the top side of the map. Once again, feels a little bit like denial. But Ryu was able to make it into the backline despite the fact that Poppy would often beat the heck out of him and make sure that he left very quickly. Luch and Squidgy now with their decisions to make, but it means that T-Gun can once again pick up the Alistair if he wants to. And this comp could be very scary from Abyss and a little bit more early game focused as well. Not going to have to play this sort of tightrope game that they were playing in game number 2.
And this is already, to me, like Abyss have a lot of knowledge available to them. The Braum being locked in, the Victor being locked in, and the Maokai means that their remaining champions, you would make the assumption, is a Gragas and an Ezreal. To round out their composition. Now the damage is very much lacking and it's mostly magic if they go towards something like that. And so I'm hoping that Frey has a trick up his sleeve in terms of champion pool. It also means that Abyss can react to that almost assumedly. And we'll see what they go towards.
Oh, Luch.
Or Pac-Man.
Yeah, well, Pac-Man, of course, playing a lot of Gangplank back in the OPL. You're exactly right, but Luch is going to lock it in for himself here. So that is why I was thrown just a little bit. But Gangplank now on the board. We'll see whether that is going to be the pick into the Maokai or into the Victor. Feels like a better pick into the tree.
Naturally.
But Hellions to round out their comp do like the Sivir. Some gap closing ability there with the On the Hunt.
And the physical damage. It'd make them a very strong 2-threat composition regardless of the jungle option here for Hellions. But from what we've got so far, the 4-man team composition of Abyss on our red side. The GP is actually a very nice pick. They can put it where they'd like because it's still quite flexy.
Yeah, and of course, Impaired now going to take away the Gragas one more time. The Beast T-Gun, who's been hitting too much of the gym at the moment. He's going to look for their final pick here on the side of Abyss. And what will round out this comp? Has to be a solo laner of the mid or top variety. Of course, there are no others. So I have a feeling that was probably...
I realised if he added an S to the end of his name, it'd be very appropriate.
T-Guns?
Yeah.
Oh my
He's got
goodness.
guns.
That is fantastic. Oh, I feel so disappointed that we hadn't thought about that sooner.
The lack of Swole Beast in the OPL has been made up for. That's all I'm saying.
Is that a reference to Mid-Beast?
Yeah, that's his name.
Cool, just making sure. Just communicating
I
for
stopped
those
calling
at
him
home.
Mid-Beast at least halfway through the split.
Well, T-Gun actually taking some time here as Poppy is being considered. I do like it once again, just saying, nope, there is no chance that we are having a Maokai delivered to the back line. Pac-Man was doing very, very well in game number 1, but immediately switches over to a super tank of their own, and Nautilus to be locked in. Bit of a throwback here, as they are going for, you know, damage from the jungle AD carry position and mid lane, and Seb sort of being that guy that has to bring all of the magic damage.
We've very rarely seen Nautilus at the moment. In fact, it's completely been pushed out of favor, but the reason it has been is because Maokai is a better version of it.
Yeah.
And from there, you would maybe look at the Poppy and be like, perhaps that's the way they should go. I'm shocked that he has actually gone for the Nautilus at all. And it's not bad, but it is essentially the poor man's Maokai in the way that it plays the game. It's got guaranteed lockdown, crowd control, that a Civic can potentially spell chill.
Yeah, are we thinking about like maybe, you know, focusing then on bomb?
Yes.
Making sure that you can then follow up with relatively easy kegs out of Luch.
That's exactly what it is. But
Sort
the
of set up
flip side,
play.
and there is a flip side, is that Luna's got his Unbreakable. And that denies Seb's damage, it potentially denies Luch's damage.
Yeah.
I don't know if it actively stops the Nautilus ultimate, but it does deny a lot of team composition work here from Abyss Esports. And Hellions, in terms of drafting, I'm actually quite happy with.
Well, we'll see exactly whether they are going to be able to make it work, because I'm excited to see how sort of this returning team heads into this final match of a best of 3, because Hellions were sort of known to feel the pressure of a lot of these series. And if they can come out swinging in this game, it shows that they have fixed a lot of the problems over this sort of break in the mid-season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they've got 2 new players in the team, and they've both had a very good second game here. So the jitters might be out of the way for both teams as coming into this third game. It is actually quite important for Hellions to start on the right foot.
Yeah, and there's also the fact that, you know, draft was the big question mark for game number 1 for Hellions, and you've already mentioned the fact that you do like this draft a lot more this time around. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are onto the Rift, as Hellions are going to be taking on Abyss Esports. Once again, Hellions going to be donning the blue shorts as we head out. We'll see how Ryu goes on his second match on the Maokai. Whoa, first Dragon going to be that Infernal one as well. So you could imagine that the team moving into Dragon-taking mode, often the team that wins the game.
And that's why it should be standard laning for both of these teams, pretty much solely because it is an Infernal Dragon. And very high power Dragon. Maybe not immediate power, very similar to the first Dragon of old. But nonetheless, you need it, because 8% is a pretty big number.
Yeah.
For scaling, percentage, AP, and AD.
Given how this day has gone, as far as Dragon sort of follow-up timing is concerned, I mean, has been a lot of triple Dragon threats. We'll see whether it is going to be 3 Infernals this time. That would be super exciting. 24% extra AD and AP, Rusty, is a silly amount of extra AD and AP, Rusty.
Yes, it is. And it would be, it'd be a lot more with the Elder Dragon taken. It would be 36%, I believe.
Bogus. Just dumb amounts of damage.
Yeah, but standard lane assignment is the initial look here for both of these teams. We'll see how that actually works out. Nautilus and Maokai, pretty much non-impactful in terms of how they hit each other.
Pretty sure it's going to be a bit of a wet noodle fight there towards the top side of the map.
Yeah, I'm looking more towards the middle lane, because Gangplank against Victor, there is an exhaust for Bomb, no teleport. Slight advantage potentially for Luch. He keeps himself in this lane.
Yeah, sort of if he plays out his teleport game well, making sure that he can get to the right item timings at the right time.
But Bomb will always have an advantage in this lane for basic trading, because Luch uses the Q, tries to get down any type of damage, it will be shielded every single time from Bomb's Q. There is no response.
Yeah, that's a good point. Luch probably trying to equalize the lane more than anything else. But already just taking so much harass. Yeah, you're exactly right. But the flash already used here from Frey on the bottom side. There is the concussive blows. T-Gun getting answered for, but Squidgy, he's at half health. Frey has to chug through this potion. That's the dodge out of the way of the boomerang from Squidgy. So the Lucian lane already doing work for Abyss.
Yeah, the level 2 buff, I'm guessing that Abyss definitely had in their back pocket as natural T-Gun aggression comes out and find themselves small advantages. Of course, Luch will also have his oranges to eat. So what we saw was poor laning will turn around quite quickly to being okay laning. And Luch doesn't prioritize his health bar, prioritizes the minion's health bar.
Yep, trading health for minion kills. And when you do have the teleport, it is something that you can afford to do as long as you don't die.
Which is why the exhaust is actually, unfortunately, not the right summoner spell for Bomb. If he's looking to kill the lane, you probably wanted that ignite to deny the healing.
Well, Seb actually has found Impaired here. Lots of damage from the Nidalee. Looking for another spear. If he gets a spear and a pounce, I mean, Impaired is dead. He has to be very careful.
Yeah, Impaired tried to get that Raptor. There was actually a lot of fighting for it. And Seb had like 2 seconds left on his smite.
Yeah.
So he walked it away. And that was why Impaired actually thought he had a chance there. But nope.
Nope, indeed. Seb, though, is going to move down to the Krugs towards the bottom side. Frey and Luna may need to be a little bit careful, but probably not going to be able to go for any sort of dive, especially not with the cow at level 3. Although, hang on, this is T-Gun, so they could do anything. Seb going to be found by Luna. Luna not going to be able to stop him from clearing out this jungle. Jumps over into the Dragon Pit. Dragon gets a little bit annoyed about it. Seb is just going to bypass, heal himself up, and head back into his jungle.
Yeah, but still the first signs of aggression from Seb was actually very promising because go back to the first game victory. Luch was rotating around the jungle with Seb and they were pushing Impaired out, not giving him opportunities to gank and get the map moving in the Hellions' direction.
And I think that this is going to be really, really important as well because Luch isn't in a lane that should be theoretically winning right now. He has teleported already. Longsword was the option that he picked up. Trying to give him a little bit more.
Where's he going with that longsword?
Probably into a Phage, right?
Well, you would think so, right? But everybody
but why
goes
wouldn't
to
you start Sapphire? Yeah.
So the reason you wouldn't start Sapphire is because you've been forced to recall before you can afford a full Sheen.
Yeah.
Because a mana crystal purchase is not worth any lane power at all. In fact, it's worth 0. It gives you extra mana. So potentially he's gone for the longsword. The assumption that he can stay in this lane now for 1,000 gold, get himself the Sheen.
I mean, I know Riptide's being nerfed, but it still feels super good.
Well, if
to
it
see
hits
Riptide
3 times, it's definitely not a nerfed feeling.
No, definitely not. Well, Seb is going to actually throw out the spear here, but Pac-Man's got closed in on early on by the Hellions. Still has that Titan's Wrath. He's going to use it. Soaks a lot of damage. Seb's going to be there to neutralize. He's a Titan. He is. Pac-Man's just standing in front of 2 people saying, well, I'll just fight you then.
Yeah, he definitely did that. Seb actually did nothing as well in that particular engagement. His presence was enough to force Impaired away. And Ryu obviously did not have a whole lot left to speak of in the way of trading. So small steps as well, baby steps for Abyss Esports, but Seb at the right place at the right time. There's no slouch in positioning.
Yeah, certainly Luna is actually going to get headbutted back here though, as Squidgy doing a lot of damage. Unbreakable going to come in, avoid a bit of that, but Frey of course cannot be fighting this Lucian right now, and Abyss with a lot of control still, but Frey is farming very well.
Yeah, he is. Absolutely.
In a lane that he has no right in sort of moving up towards. You can see T-Gun already positioning fantastically, but Siva doing work.
And still no Dragon focus for either of these teams. They were actually looking topside, which is one of the weirder map movements.
Yeah.
Rift Herald not going to be looked at this early. It has a 8k health bar and a lot of resistances, so you can't actually afford to do that early.
Oh, nice keg comes in from Luch. Clears out mini wave and a bit of Bomb's health bar.
He's going to struggle with these ones, however.
Yeah, it's super frustrating to watch. Luch is just like, no! Oh, my 10 CS per minute.
It's the price he pays for getting cloaked. Oh, wow.
Yeah, Frey actually taking a lot of damage. There's the cannon barrage towards the bottom side as Luna's getting slowed down. The rest of Abyss really want to try and close this one out. You can see Seb wants to throw some spears through. Conveniently placed mini wave, going to help out there as there goes the Chaos Storm. Luch in trouble. There's the exhaust. Eats some oranges, has to flash. And Bomb demanding the respect.
And once again, Victor hits that level 6 and has complete control.
Exhaust even yeah, just decides not to. Seb says, all right, well, that's the rest of my mana. Enjoy.
That's not a bad decision by any means here. For all of the mana to be wasted on healing Luch, he's going to try and stay in this lane and sustain with the oranges as well. So once again, Seb's kind of just playing the doctor.
Yep.
He's just at the right place at the right time.
Triaging lanes. That's what he's doing.
It wasn't even a counter gank on Impaired this time. He just knows he needs to be there.
Oh, nice keg. Shoot Bomb a little bit. Obvious Bomb joke is obvious. Let's just not do that one. We're just going to sapling some minions. Arcane smash him away. And not going to find the Nautilus, who's backing in the other brush. Ha ha ha. Does have teleport available relatively soon, but he's just going to wander back to lane this time, as Pac-Man doesn't quite have the summoner up just yet. Both of these players have completed their Spectre's cows. And the top lane super tank situation is not something that we really need to delve into too far.
Or at all, really.
Yeah, very, very good point.
That just means they're even less killable than they already were.
Which was not very much.
What a time to be alive it is.
Precisely.
Top laners.
Luch, though, very close towards that Trinity Force, has that Phage now done. They're going to be able to shoot things, get some more movement speed from it as well. Bomb now relatively low on mana, but does have a blue buff now sitting on him. So he's going to be A-OK. And Luch has been able to keep up very nicely in this farm. See Frey throwing through some boomerangs. He didn't find the mana back on that spell shield. Lots of damage from the culling. And Squidgy asserts dominance.
Yeah, but this is actually showing an inclination towards aggressive spell shields from Frey. He's not saving it for the Alistar. He's actually just using it to get mana back, and that's where he runs into problems, because Squidgy's recognized that. You could see the aggressive use of the culling as well.
Oh, this actually starting off this first Infernal Drake down to about 2k health. Luch is going to make his way in. Yeah, exactly right. Impaired. Looking for the steal. Gets it! We'll see whether he makes his way out. Does have flash if he needs to get out of there. Cannon Barrage comes down. Abyss, they really want to find the team fight off the back end, but Ryu has found his way through. First blood goes to Frey. Flash out immediately as Luch has got turned on, and this has gone so pear-shaped for Abyss. Massive play from Hellions. It's 4-0. And Dragon goes to the previous OPL team.
Yeah, wow. 4 massive kills secured by Hellions, and the Infernal Dragon picked up by Impaired with that Keg Bop Smite combo.
Oh,
and that
what
is
a
just
phrase.
Disaster, honestly, for Abyss. They were the ones to establish that fight. They wanted that dragon.
Yeah.
And it just completely unfolds in front of their eyes.
And Luch actually going to get stunned as soon as he makes it back in. There's the Chaos Storm. Luch in so much trouble. He isn't going to fall down. Trying for Raw helping him. Yeah, exactly right. Seb's down as well.
And that's a turret with it, though, to be fair. Like, this is absolute disaster of the worst degree. Like, the teleport placement from Ryu was impeccable. Gets every target that he wants to, like, be zoned away. Squidgy, a non-factor for most of this. And Seb as well gets bombed.
Yeah.
The Keg as well, knocking them all towards the wall so that Frey doesn't have to flash. If he didn't have it available, he still would have been able to do damage.
That was a gimme. That Keg was so incredibly close from Luch. I'm not sure how those circles weren't aligned.
Oh, we RNG did it, Atlas.
Yeah.
All of the elements have been seen now.
Hey, yeah, nice.
Finally, an Ocean Dragon exists on Summoner's Rift.
Thank you, Hellions Abyss, for having a 3rd game in your series.
Yeah, but this is also a big lead established now.
Now, Squidgy actually going very aggressive. There's the headbutt. Pulverizes Frey. Yeah, is so dead. Luna comes in with the Unbreakable. Squidgy tanking up this turret. Doesn't want to get stunned. Has to use the flash. As T-Gun has the ult running. Actually, no, doesn't.
But Seb's even nearby, so the respect they're showing to Luna is near unwarranted.
Well, see that is going to land. Impaired heads over at the right time, but you're right.
Like, Luna thought he was manlier than he was. There's no reason to be that far up.
Look at that outfit, man. Feeling pretty manly as well.
Either way, it feels like the control is kind of swapped, but this 2v2 lane has always been indicative of that.
Yeah.
Solution into the Sivir. And what we saw earlier is the tendency to spell shield the Lucian Q when he uses his Relentless Pursuit forward. Didn't do it. Still got comboed by the Alistar.
You can see Luci's made his way back into the lane. Almost has the Zeal component of his Trinity Force completed as well. So that first power spike he's still looking for. 10 CS in the lead actually for the Gangplank. But Bomb, 2 out of those 4 kills that they managed to pick up are on him. So once again, a fantastic position early for the Victor.
Seb's the pressure point. Every single time he has appeared on the map, he's been able to try and at least get something done. Luna with no health.
Yeah, Winter's Bite actually not going to find it here as Primal Surge is going to be used. We'll see whether they utilize that in order to get some extra movement, attack speed. But Frey, too much wave clear. We'll be able to clear this one out, but it is sticky damage onto that top outer top.
It's also just Ryu top lane because he has nowhere else to be on the map. Right now, he will be able to go bottom. I guess I was questioning the priority of farm as well. If they wanted to keep Ryu top lane and start trading objectives, but because Hellions have already gotten that bottom lane turret from the Dragon fight, yeah, they just want to stay top lane. They just want to chill out and farm as much as they can. And perhaps let the Maokai go on bottom. Still not letting him recall though. That'd be nice.
Would indeed. Luch, however, Trinity Force in hand, heads back into the lane. See whether this helps him out against Bomb. First power spike has been achieved. If Scuttler goes down, Seb continues his assault on the jungle, but Impaired has been doing a fantastic job of clearing it himself. It's actually ahead by 6 CS over the Nidalee.
Which is impressive.
Yeah, focusing a little bit more on sort of killing champions and being in the right position for team
Ryu
fights.
brute force past him. That's it. Disregard him and get the minions. There's so many.
Does so. Was that a dredge line that just flat out
hit
missed?
a minion.
Yeah, so. Ryu though uses
job,
the ultimate,
Ryu.
clears things out. Nicely done.
Priorities are there.
You got Rusty's approval.
Absolutely did. 1-0-3 as well, Ryu, on the Maokai. And we called the Nautilus the lesser Maokai.
Well, has certainly been seeming so thus far. That first team fight going fantastically well for Hellions, especially because Ryu was able to get into the back line with the vengeful Maelstrom.
Pad's still here.
Yeah, there's the flash body slam. T-Gun uses the ultimate and actually in a decent position for a headbutt onto Luna, but they just focus him down anyway. Ryu makes his way in, finishes it off with a twisted advance, and Squidgy now going to get dove. He's trying to get the work done here onto Impaired. He does manage to get one back. That is a big deal as Cannon Barrage doing a little bit of work.
Yeah, mostly credit to that Cannon Barrage, honestly. Lucia's ultimate placement was nice, but it was pretty late as they were already diving the Lucian under that turret. And Impaired falling doesn't mean a whole lot here because realistically this turret's still going to go down. There's still all the time in the world for Hellions to work around this map, and their gold lead is growing and growing because even mid is in trouble of falling. 1v1.
Yeah. Bomb is just a beast, despite the fact that Luch has been able to pick up CS, where I don't even think CS actually is.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough.
The other thing as well right now is Dragon up in 15 seconds. We know Hellions have shown pretty big preference towards it.
Yeah.
At least contesting it, not giving it over for free. Pac-Man being on the bottom side of the map, you would imagine that Ryu could go top side and look to teleport, but he's already used it. That's the thing. By getting into that top lane. So they all have to be here and be present if they want to fight it.
Well, there is a ward in the pit here for Hellions. He's Impaired once again thinking about doing his steal move. Spear flies forward. Luna going to tank that one up, but he's not going to be too worried about it. It's not hitting for all that much damage at the moment with only that Runic Echoes completed for Seb.
They didn't know Pac-Man recalled. Hellions had a point where they could have actually been in control. With no knowledge, they've seeded the entire Dragon area and river besides that one cheeky ward.
Top lane's in control here though for Hellions. Abyss need to start off this Dragon or sort of give up some control. Peg comes down. Luch is actually going to start working on it. Half health already. They've got a lot of damages. There's that Pulverize out from T-Gun. Headbutt's Impaired back as well. The turret is going to be traded here as Pac-Man is in the mid lane. Does have to be very careful as the boomerang flies forward. Lots of damage out of Frey already.
They're still going mid though. Hellions have complete control. They just don't have the minions to look to siege the second turret. What they should do is exactly what they are now, is work around that minion wave top lane. Maybe look for the team fight if possible, as that's not what you want to do.
Yeah, and Ped actually uses his ult as well on purely T-Gun, who used his ult at the same time. Big cooldowns for both teams now unavailable. Keg's coming in. Wave clear is going to be there for Luch. A lot of damage there onto Ryu as well. By a lot, I mean not much at all.
Yeah, they wanted to save the Gragas ultimate to hit a priority target. Forcing T-Guns is still big.
Yep.
Because he's the engage tool for Abyss. And if he engages and it doesn't go well, he'll just die. Like, just outright die. And that's the problem with Alistar as a champion, right? But he's very ultimate reliant, as is the Nautilus.
Well, we can see Hellions are going to be able to grab this Rift Herald pretty freely as well. We'll see who they actually decide to give it to. Looks like Ryu probably will be the one to take it right now. Is no bomb. Going to get it delivered.
Yeah, once again, we mentioned how good it can actually be on mid laners.
Yeah.
5% damage reduction, bonus auto attack damage. Victor also an auto attack champion.
Oh, Luna dives in to take the spear.
Good catch.
Like it a lot. Luch just procs his bandit there. Trying to get as much money as he possibly can. The man is going to be relatively rich. We'll see what item he's going to be building first. Looks like Infinity Edge for the Gangplank. Item spikes are coming up here for Abyss relatively soon. Of course, this new Lucian build, Ghostblade, and the Black Cleaver is going to be done pretty quickly here for Squidgy.
Yeah, it definitely will be. Whereas on the flip side, I feel like they are strong now. They just don't really have anything they can fight for because the Dragon's already been taken. Hellions, though they have shown the preference towards the Dragon, still even making the reserved decision of going for the turret and actually trading things for gold, which I actually agree with.
Yeah, and how do you feel about that sort of decision as well, given the fact that they have this short-range AD carry in Sivir, so their sieging power may not necessarily be as strong anyway?
The way I see it is they're still scaling anyway, and like they take turrets whilst they can. Sivir's always going to take them quickly, but contested by Abyss, definitely not, right?
Yeah.
So smart decision, I think, to take the mid lane turret. It breaks open control of the map as well because it's the hardest turret to take. Definitely the right move. Giving over the Ocean Dragon, though, is still a lot of sustain available for Abyss when they're out of combat.
Yeah, especially, yeah,
6-10.
and if they want to be split pushing as well, clear out a minion wave very quickly, the likes of the Nautilus and the Gangplank can do that. So sort of able to trade their health bars a little bit there and then still do the work. But there's Impaired, tries to find T-Gun. It's a big knock-up as the Cows right in amongst this team. Cannon Barrage comes down. It's a lot of damage from Squidgy in the backline, but Hellions, they knew what they wanted, and they managed to get it. Squidgy's ultimate not doing too much there at all. And Bomb picks himself up another kill.
Yeah, they are disregarding Alistar's ultimate as even a spell right now.
Yeah.
Squidgy needs to be very careful.
Well, another Riptide comes in. Luna actually might need to be a little bit careful, but Squidgy can't quite change the distance. Nice knock up there from the ultimate out of Pac-Man, but he has been turned on. There's the Chaos Storm as Bomb turns this one around. You can see Seb. He has to be very, very careful. The Pounce comes in looking for the deletion. The Exhaust comes out at the right time, though. And Bomb's trying to turn this one.
Bomb.
There's the Death Ray. Is he going to be able to get there? Squidgy, what was that?
It's a bit deep.
That is real deep, man. As Luch, the one-man army trying to do some work. Don't get hit by that Death Ray. There's maybe a couple of well-placed kegs is going to get the work done. The respawn on T-Guns here at the same time. But this game is a bloodbath.
Welcome to the Bomb Show, however. 5-0-0.
Yeah.
This mid laner for Hellions absolutely putting in work.
Do you know what champion wasn't picked or banned in game number 1, Rusty? It was Victor.
You know how quickly they learn?
Yeah.
It's kind of a big deal.
Real quick.
Bomb learned real quick. He's played it twice in a row now. Luch sticking to unconventional. And I'm going to call it unconventional simply because Victor's better.
We did see the Gangplank banned away in game number 2, though, so it sort of is a thing that Luch is known for and has been something that Pac-Man has been known for as well. But you're right, I mean, Gangplank hasn't been seeing as much focus all that recently. Merc Treads is now done for Luch, but doesn't have the Infinity Edge.
And the thing is, like, the GP is not even the problem. In fact, Bomb's lucky that he is 5-0.
Yeah.
It's all just coming down to these team fights, and the kill distribution has been favoring Hellions quite nicely. At the end of the day, it's T-Gun and Squidgy being repeatedly caught out of position. Looking for 2v2s or looking to defend these turrets with a Lucian Alistar is actually a very big risk.
And I've just been so impressed by Frey's Sivir as well. I mean, this is a champion that doesn't necessarily do things in the early game all that well. But Frey has been doing fantastically. 2-1-7, 100% kill participation. He's just been all around the map. That on the hunt, really helping the rest of the team get in amongst it. Seb's been caught out of position now as well. Concussive Blow is going to lock him down.
In a lot of trouble.
Luna and Impaired don't have all of that much damage, but they've got CC up the wazoo, and Impaired is going to be able to body slam him to death.
Yeah, juking nothing, Seb, unfortunately not working around spell timings, but he was inevitably going to go down. Luckily for Hellions, they save Impaired's ultimate.
Oh yeah, Cannon Barrage now going to be used just to try and get some work done. Frey tanks up a lot there. Squidgy's going to get destroyed. This engage from Hellions is massive. It's a double kill for Ryu, as Luch is like, well, 1 versus 5. I got this. It's a fair bit of damage there from the kegs, but you have to run faster than that, good sir. Hellions are relatively low. At least he gets them off the turret there, as Pac-Man's going to at least stall Ryu for now, but look at this CC. That is not the biggest Nautilus that you'd be looking for, and Luch just can't do anything. The rest of Hellions just brute force their way into that inner turret.
And the gold lead extends even further here for the Hellions. The next dragon is available to another Ocean, so 100% they want to take it away from Abyss. But because they have to recall, there's a chance that they actually seed that dragon over, and that's not ideal. But all things considered, with that 5k gold lead, they are sitting pretty.
Yeah, not too worried here at all. You're exactly right. Dragon is going to be focused here from Abyss. Impaired, looking to try and get a sneaky delivery onto that dragon as well.
Impaired, we trust. Nah, he's got no chance.
Well, we thought he had no chance.
Well, was it no vision this time, so literally no chance.
Well, Ocean Drake number 2 is going to fall. As Abyss picked that one up. Squidgy now finding his way in, but doesn't have the Black Cleaver just yet. Still keeping even on farm, but this is Static Shiv and that Essence Reaver done for this Sivir. 2-1-10.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen Squidgy's item build move in about 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
All I've been seeing is advantages gained more and more so by Hellions. And the Maokai has been putting in work. The guaranteed engage. It's fantastic onto this Lucian. Stops him from doing a lot of work. Luch has been out of position a few times. Hasn't been able to help his team out or even set up kegs, which is valuable.
Oh my god, Hellions going for this Baron. It's already actually down relatively low as Abyss, they do smell it out. Cannon Barrage comes in. That is going to get them off the Baron, but are Hellions just going to turn this into a team fight? On the Hunt has been popped. They're looking for something. Always T-Gun as he has to flash out of the way. The ultimate comes in. Squidgy actually going to get knocked out of it. It's a decent pulverize there from T-Gun, and they're fighting in the right place. Squidgy grabs the first kill as Pac-Man delivered to the backline, but my god, that is a lot of damage. He actually flashes over top. Bomb in so much trouble. The shutdown comes in as the Gangplank sacrifices himself for the mid laner of Hellions. It is a 2 for 2 already, and that is probably more than Abyss could have hoped for.
It absolutely is, and it came down to a keg combo from Luch and Pac-Man. Pac-Man, of course, knocking them up and giving the crowd control needed. But Luch also deciding that after hitting the kegs, it's time to absolutely go a little bit too deep. This is all off the back of the Hellions engage. Luna, speaking of too deep, really wanted Squidgy, but doesn't get it because of the pulverized timing from T-Gun. This is actually where I thought the Hellions were just going to outright lose. Look at Luch. He has the ideal engage with the knock-up. It just goes ham. Like,
they wanted to get the passive proc on the bomb, but
yeah,
maybe didn't need to sacrifice himself for it. But Abyss, unable to translate that into too much more. 4,000 gold is the lead here for Hellions. 25 minutes into the game. I mean, that's considerable, but probably not a massive problem here. And Frey, what are you doing with a longsword? I mean, this is the game where you get Infinity Edge third. You called it to me. But not going to happen.
Could be a Hex Drinker. Could go anywhere, really. Yeah. I don't think you need a Hex Drinker.
No.
We'll see.
I have a feeling it might be the old Mortal Reminder.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I would have finished the last whisper before I went a longsword personally. Maybe just bought a pink ward if I had a slot free, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe 2. You could afford 3 of them and a half.
There are a few different options here is what we're illustrating.
Pink ward's very important as well, is the other thing that I was getting at there. But Hellions have still got that priority on the Baron buff. In fact, Bomb's decided he wants to start it whilst Impaired clears wards.
Yeah.
Not the best.
Trolling a teammate. Not bad. Spear is going to be dodged though from Impaired. The Raptors are going to get taken down. Red buff now delivered to Squidgy. We'll see what he can get done now with the Black Cleaver. 2 items strong. Ghost Blade there as well for a bit of added utility, but it's behind by a bit. As far as that money is concerned, at last look it was about 1,600.
Yeah.
50, sort of like BF sword, long sword amounts of gold.
Yeah. So they want the Rylai's as well for the Victor before they really can win these team fights. And
oh, there's the flash body slam as Seb. He's going to flash his way immediately out of the way. Chaos Storm's down as well, and a teleport. A lot burnt now to not be able to find the kill onto Seb. And Abyss, this might be their opportunity for some respite or maybe to grab something back.
Yeah, that's absolutely best case scenario. Hellion's using way too much for nothing. 506 Maokai actually does not have his teleport anymore to impact a team fight unless he walks, which he absolutely is.
Yep,
because Baron is the must-do for Hellions as far as they are concerned. You can tell their priority lies on that.
Well, spear flying in as Luna is going to throw a door at Seb.
So they're actually forcing Abyss to face check. Now, the positioning from Luna obviously not ideal. He's fighting everybody. But what Abyss think he's doing is zoning them from the Baron being taken. And so they even pink-warded it because they were basically out of Sightstone vision. We've got nothing left to offer. If they keep clearing wards, Hellions, eventually they can take the risk, count how many wards have been taken as an example, and just start it. 2 blue trinkets, I think, is all that remains. 1 now.
Been very impressed with Abyss's ability to team fight whilst at a deficit, though. 15-4 at the moment, and I still am not sure that Hellions will be able to win the next fight, just with how some of these have gone in favor of Abyss.
Yeah. These battles continuing. That Baron definitely still getting chunked out.
Ward is going to get placed in the pit. It's down to half health. Cannon Barrage is available. Luch is going to throw it down towards the back of the pit as Pac-Man finds his way right in the back line. Squidgy over the top. Seb looking for the steal. Not going to be able to get it as the pad is able to pick it up, but a massive knock-up comes out of Pac-Man as well as T-Gun there. Bomb takes out Seb. Squidgy fighting in the backline though. Ryu in a lot of trouble. Sap Magic is going to do a bit of work, but the shutdown comes in. Squidgy flashes over. They're looking for Impaired. There's the flash pulverize as Squidgy does manage to pick up the kill. A double comes in for the Lucian, and that is 3 for 1 in favor of Abyss, but the Baron has gone to Hellions.
Absolutely right. So whilst it is that 3-1, 30 seconds on both top laner and jungler for the Hellions, they can maybe look towards defending or fighting for the Dragon, which is up in 5, and it'll be the 3rd for Abyss. So they get what they can once again. It's best case scenario of poor situations. Rinse and repeat.
Yeah, exactly right. Pac-Man's already in there though, pretty tanky. As there's the perfect hex core, getting a little bit of more CC onto Pac-Man as he's still underneath that turret, but Hellions are going to successfully defend.
And you would think the Dragon is now going to go over to Hellions. They can absolutely team fight. And before this fight even really breaks out, I've never seen Frey get deleted so quickly in my life to an 820 damage crit from Luch, who's currently in battles with Ryu. So very impressive, firstly, I will say, from the Gangplank. Bomb also being completely locked down. T-Gun actually fighting quite impeccably. And it just gives so much time to Squidgy.
Well, Cloud Drake is going to fall. That is going to go to Hellions here. So they've managed to get an Infernal. And that Cloud.
And Luch definitely was aware of that because the loud yelling noise of a dragon dying.
Yep. Linker and Wheeler have fallen down.
You had to, didn't you?
I did. I just, sorry.
Really? Had to.
The Planeteer thing.
No, you said you were going
so
to,
pleased.
so I was ready for it.
Still probably shouldn't have. That show is very old. Shout outs to anyone that watched Captain Planet.
That was all I was waiting for you to,
Yeah.
elaborate on what the hell you said. For some that probably don't understand.
Very good point. But Squidgy now completed QSS. Going for that Mercurial Scimitar as his 3rd item. Same thing actually looks like it's going to be picked up here from Frey, so he wants to not get CC'd forever. T-Gun, as he's played very far forward, has to use the ultimate, does T-Gun, as Luch now getting caught out of position from Bomb, spears flying through. They're just defending this siege minion.
Yeah, and T-Gun has to recall. There's no way that Pac-Man or Ryu are getting involved unless the other one backs away. So Ryu backing away indicates to me that Hellions want to fight for this turret with this coming wave.
Well, it's not going to happen. Hellions are going to get that one gifted to them for free. Pac-Man towards the top side of the map, just trying to, like you said, stop Ryu from entering.
Yeah, and now that they don't want to completely fight for the turret or dive, stopping teleport.
Yeah, the teleport immediately to come in from Ryu at the same time, as he might actually be out of position right here. Already very, very low as the dredge line actually going to stop him up. Nice use of that Locket of the Iron Solari. Gives him a shield, and Seb can't find the spear. That Boomerang doing some work. Hellions aren't going to be able to find the engage they're looking for, but they don't lose anyone. Keep their lead and keep the pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. Luna even saying not so fast. And actually slowing them down from any further chases. Well done from Hellions, all things considered, to live. Ryu finishing that teleport whilst they agree that he needed to.
Yeah.
He didn't really have the team close enough to help him out. Luch with the Gangplank can set up his damage seconds in advance and absolutely destroy the health bar of that Malco.
Well, turret is going to fall in the mid lane there as Chaos Storm actually flying through. Pac-Man taking some notable damage from that one actually, as T-Gun doesn't have the ult available. This cow is not as tanky as you would otherwise expect, but he is able to make it out.
Now they get out once again, and turrets traded. Everyone playing very delicate League of Legends. On the cusp of a team fight breaking out with kills involved, but none to speak of at this point in time. And it does still feel like that knife's edge this game.
Yeah.
It's definitely the gold lead, even though there's been a Baron taken and turrets taken. It's actually closed to be closer than it were.
This is true, and this is Hellions with 5 turrets to 2, 16 kills to 7. I have a feeling that the fact that we're only seeing about a 3,000 gold lead has a lot to do with this Luch guy in the mid lane, making money. The dude is a mint right now.
I think most impressively, we haven't spoken about the fact that he has 320 CS at 33 minutes in this game.
As a losing team as well, a team getting pressured.
Yeah, but even Seb actually has found himself quite far ahead in farm.
Very good point.
To his jungle opponent. Bottom lane's done well to keep it even, all things considered, because they've been the losing lane. So nice work from Abyss in the way of farming the map and keeping themselves well and truly in this game, and in fact closing that difference.
I actually really like it out of Abyss. It shows that despite how things go, they are able to stabilize And it seems that Hellions, even in their victory last game, it was a game that looked like they were in control of, but they were unable to close it out just because of how Abyss are able to neutralize leads the enemy team has.
And it's funny because a 7-1-3 victor is probably equal in damage.
Yeah.
Or equal in gold even to Luch being on their gangplank, just because he has all of the extra farm.
And Luch just managed to pick up an Abyssal Scepter as well, so this is a 40% cooldown reduction gangplank with an Infinity Edge as well. He's very, very strong.
Did you say Abyssal Scepter?
Sorry, Essence Reaver.
I got real, honestly, like I didn't want to correct you.
looking
I
at
got
Seb.
very confused.
They're right next to each other.
That's why I wanted to check that you said Luch.
Very good point. But no, Luch has an Essence Reaver, giving him cooldown reduction, not an Abyssal
No, 'cause
Scepter,
remember,
which
new
now
Abyssal-
does
That's-
give cooldown reduction.
Again, that's why I'm asking.
Whoa,
Like I was
if there's
ready.
ever a mistake to make, it's not that one. That is very, very confusing.
I asked for a reason.
Yeah, no.
Abyssal Scepter, of course, giving cooldown reduction. Yes. You are right. And the Rylai's as well with Seb. So in terms of damage, he's got a lot of it.
Yeah.
He's in Italy. Backed up by the Gangplank with all of his items. They can team fight Abyss. They can absolutely give it to Hellions. Just comes down to how they start it. And at this stage, because T-Gun's level 11 now, his ultimate helps him a lot more in staying alive.
Very
All of Hellions' engages have been on T-Gun. It's now going to be harder to do.
Well, Mercurial's Scimitar is now done for Squidgy as well. Infinity Edge actually got picked up very quickly from Frey, so he just decided that he needed to have some form of lifesteal, then went towards that high damage item. So this Sivir is well and truly online in the damage department. But if he doesn't spell shield a keg, he may just die.
So this is actually a very interesting point in the game, Atlas, because you have to remember Elder Dragon is going to spawn around the 35-minute mark.
Yeah.
It's up in 30 seconds. The other flip side to that is both teams have 2 dragons, and so it's actually still important to take the Elder.
Yeah.
The Baron's up right now as well. Where do teams prioritize? We know that Abyss look towards the Elder Dragon as an option. But because they don't have control of the map, do they just respond and deny as well?
And it could be that Hellions actually put a little bit more priority on this Elder Dragon as well, because they're the ones with the Infernal. They're the ones that probably want to emphasize that buff a little bit more. Of course, Abyss do like the fact that they have sort of infinite siege with an Elder Dragon double Ocean Drake.
Yeah, absolutely. But the question to me is they take what they can, right? So
Yeah, good point.
if you establish control around the Baron area, then you're probably looking towards that Baron.
Yeah, does get a slow into Pac-Man here, but successfully dredge lines himself to relative safety.
What is GA again, Pac-Man? Very unkillable.
Yeah, it's like he wasn't unkillable enough before. Speaking of unkillable, Ryu does have a Thorn Mail as well as that Iceborne Gauntlet. Spirit Visage there for a bit of magic resist, but this guy has a lot of armor.
Yeah, and they're absolutely focusing this Baron. There is no question about where they're looking on the map, Hellions.
Baron going to get mad at Frey.
That hurt him a lot.
Did. Impaired as well, taking a bit of notable damage as Seb does need to be careful. Weaves that spear in somehow, and Frey already down to half health. This Sivir is a massive component of what Hellions are trying to do. You can't go into a fight with her at half health. Does Luch teleport up?
Yeah, and they're giving time to him. This is the fight.
Yeah, they're looking for it here as Ryu finds his way into the backline. There's the cannon barrage that comes down, and Squidgy off to the side gets a full culling in there. Pac-Man right in the backline. The shutdown comes down. Look at these kegs doing so much work as it's already 3 kills. Double kill comes down for the Gangplank. Another explosion. Make that a triple. The Quadra could be here as he picks it up. Luch, welcome to the OPL, my friend. My God, what a Gangplank.
And that was engaged by Hellions. A phenomenal team fight out of Abyss gives themselves a complete ace with 20 seconds on the board. There's no way for them to outright finish, I don't think. Actually, you know what? They probably can.
They got so much turret damage, what with the Gangplank and the double tap and Lucian. The inhibitor is going to fall down. Squidgy just uses his nerf scimitar for the extra move speed. They know that they can win this game. Nexus turret's now falling down. Massive amounts of creeps. And they have managed to do it. Abyss are going to be able to pick up the first 3-game series as this draws to a close. What a game out of this squad. For their first match, that is a lot of tenacity that this team has already brought to the OPL.
Look, to put it simply, there was 2 people on the Abyss Esports lineup that had kills, and that was their mid laner and their AD carry. Nobody else had a single kill to speak of, but they all did their job well, and when it came to the crunch, when it came to the team fights, Abyss still performed excellently. Hellions, so many questions still available here. Like, the miscommunications were very obvious.
Yeah.
The last team fight as well, Impaired's ultimate just threw them off.
Yeah, but really, really well played to Abyss. We are going to throw it to the analyst desk to break down the final game of tonight.
Thanks so much, Atlas. Great cast on the night. That was a pretty impressive win in the end from Abyss Esports. I mean, Luge going off like pretty much berserk on the Gangplank. He was once again up nearly 100 CS by the end of the game. Gets a quadra kill to end that out. A champion that was banned away from him, the 2 bans against Hellions, come back and bite them a little bit that they were missing from that game. But that was a game one more time that looked like Hellions were just in firm control the whole way and got outscaled.
Yeah, and they had such a huge lead, especially in that first Dragon fight. They got like 4-0 on top of the Fire Dragon, so they should have just snowballed the lead from there. But Luch, he don't need kill, he just need farm, and he just kept farming, and he just performed and just got a quadra kill at the end.
But this also comes back to why Gangplank was able to sit there and to farm so consistently and for as long as he did, because we had 2 games that kind of dragged out a little bit despite really early snowball potential. And I think it comes back to kind of a misuse of teleport, particularly by Ryu there. There are a couple of instances where TPs were cancelled or not followed up properly, and obviously when you waste that 5-minute cooldown, you then effectively give that pressure and time back to the enemy team to sit there and to amass these massive CS discrepancies and get these Gangplanks online.
Yeah, and it's funny when you look at Ryu because it looks like he never wants to be the first person in. I don't mean that as a criticism because he does normally play follow-up damage with the likes of Fizz, the likes of Rumble, like even the Fiora when he plays it. So they were leaning pretty heavily on Impaired, sorry. And in that last team fight, there was just that one mistake. You know, the cast, it looked great, but really what it did is knock Lucian out to the right-hand side and just meant that the teleport was never going to come through properly.
Yeah, and just the teleport play. They had the Sivir Maokai comp, the classic, just use the vault and catch someone out. But yeah, just the teleport play was just really poor, and Abyss capitalized on the Hellions mistake, and Gangplank dropped his ultimate, and just Lucian just dashing around, just doing tons of damage.
Yeah, and you know, this is something that we have to credit Abyss for because this is a team that all through the promotion series, now a couple of games against Hellions, have looked good late game. That's something rare to say about a young side, being able to reset after a devastating loss, come back and take it out in pretty late game fashion. That's impressive.
To be fair, though, I think the meta helps compensate a little bit for that just because it is a very team fight based meta. So late game, you're relying heavily on, you know, either snowballing off of the Elder Dragon to make the most out of your dragons that you've gotten in the early game. Likewise, Baron, and pretty much what we saw is it was these big team fights that really decided it, not so much, you know, decision making of do I go for the Elder Dragon or do I go for the Baron, because that's where Abyss actually fell short. So I do agree that it is very rare to see a team come out of a challenger scene into a professional scene and show experience shot calling late game, but throughout this series, I don't know if there's quite the context or the consistency there to say, yes, this team is good at shot calling late game.
Well, what we do know is it was good enough to beat Hellions. With that in mind, let's take a look at the day's result. Chiefs were able to get off to a 2-0 win against Sin Gaming before Abyss Esports made their splash into the OPL, taking out Hellions 2-1. Tomorrow night, Tainted Minds, the other OCS promoted team, will go against a new-look Avant-Garde before Legacy takes on Direwolves to round us out for the rest of the week. Guys, with that in mind, got to keep your eyes on the prize. These teams are fighting towards the OPL Grand Final. So for the last time tonight, going to remind you it's in Brisbane during August. Tickets go on sale this Friday night, 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. But you've heard enough from us tonight. From behalf of myself, the entire desk, our broadcast crew, and our shoutcasters, thank you so much for tuning into the OPL, and we'll see you tomorrow night.